Have you ever stood at the edge of quitting? Not because you were weak, but because the pain was too much to bear? Your body screamed, your spirit shook, and for a moment, giving up felt like the easiest, maybe even the only way out. Because yes, pain is exhausting. It wears you down. It makes you question everything. And in that moment, stopping feels like relief. But here's the truth. If you stop now, you don't just lose the battle. You lose the story you were meant to tell. You trade a lifetime of pride for a moment of comfort. So what if, just for one more breath, one more push, you kept going? Because the pain, it will pass. But what you build in its place, that stays, that stands, that becomes your legacy. Because pain is temporary, but pride is forever. There are moments when your lungs burn, your muscles tear, your knees threaten to collapse beneath you. Your vision blurs, the noise fades. All that remains is pain. It wraps around your chest like a vice. It screams louder than your heartbeat. And in that instant, every fiber of your being begs, please, just stop. But then, from somewhere deep beyond the agony, a voice rises. Not loud, not angry, but steady. And it says, not yet. Because deep down, you know this pain isn't the end. It's the bridge to something better, to something lasting, to something worth it. In that fragile space between giving up and going on, between collapsing and rising, you remember something simple, something powerful. Pain is temporary, pride is forever. Yes, the pain is real. It burns, it breaks, it asks you to surrender, but it doesn't last. What does? That moment years later, when you look back and whisper to yourself, I didn't quit. That quiet pride doesn't fade. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need witnesses. Because pride lives in the silence after the storm. When you know, you chose to keep going. Pain is the gatekeeper. It's the moment that asks, do you really want this? It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how far you've come. It shows up at the hardest mile, the loneliest night, the final push, and it demands everything. But here's the truth most never see. Pain always ends. It's a visitor, not a verdict. It comes to test you, but it never gets to define you. What defines you is what you choose in that moment. Will you stop and wonder forever if you were just one step away? Or will you hold on even just a second longer and earn something no pain can ever take away? Because in the end, scars fade, wounds heal, and the ache disappears. But pride? Pride is forever. Pain has many faces. It can be physical, the kind that leaves you breathless, trembling, broken. Or it can be emotional, the ache that no one sees, the tear you blink away so no one will ask. But whatever form it takes, pain always tells the same lie. This will never end. And yet it always does. Muscles heal, bones knit. The sleepless nights grow shorter. The heavy heart finds room to beat again. What felt unbearable yesterday becomes something you survive today. Because pain, for all its volume and fury, is not permanent. It comes like a storm, loud, violent, terrifying. But it passes, and when it does, you'll realize something powerful. It wasn't the pain that defined you. It was your refusal to let it win. Pride doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't arrive with a trophy or a cheering crowd. It's quieter than that. It lives in your chest like a steady flame. The kind that keeps burning long after the pain is gone. Every time you refused to quit, every time you stood back up when your legs begged you not to, every time you chose to keep going when no one was watching, You earned a piece of that pride. And while pain fades, as all things do, those moments stay with you. They become chapters in your story. They become reasons you walk taller, breathe deeper, love stronger. Because no matter how much it hurt, you didn't run, you didn't fold, you didn't abandon yourself. And that is something no one can take away from you. Not time, not failure, not even fear. Because true pride isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. It's about saying, I was there, I was broken, I kept going. And that pride, it lasts forever. Let's be honest. There will always come a moment when giving up feels easier. When your body aches, your heart is heavy, and that voice in your head whispers, just stop. It's too much. In that moment, you face a choice. You can choose comfort, a single moment of relief, a decision that silences the pain, but leaves a lifetime of what if. Or you can choose courage to take one more breath, one more step, one more second of strength no one else sees but you. Because what's harder in the moment often becomes what you're most proud of later. So ask yourself, would you rather carry the memory of quitting or the legacy of overcoming? Would you rather let pain win for a moment or let pride stay with you for a lifetime? You don't need to be fearless. You just need to not give in. Because pain is temporary, but pride is forever. Some stories don't begin with glory. They begin with blood, with smoke, with silence that follows an explosion. But in those moments when the body is shattered and the mind screams to surrender, some people choose pride over pain. They choose to stand for something greater, even when they're lying on the edge of death. And that choice? That's what makes them unforgettable. Let me tell you about one of them. In 2010, U.S. Navy Lieutenant Jason Redman, a battle-hardened Navy SEAL, was on a mission in Iraq when his team was caught in a brutal ambush. Amid gunfire and chaos, Jason was struck by 11 bullets. His face shattered, his neck torn open, his arm broken and bleeding. Each bullet didn't just pierce flesh. They tested everything he believed in: strength, purpose, the will to survive. For most people, that would have been the end. But Jason wasn't most people. Jason lay broken, on the dirt, blood soaking through his uniform, his breathing shallow, fading. Every nerve in his body screamed, every movement agony. Every second felt like a final one. In that moment, pain wasn't abstract. It wasn't poetic. It was real, cruel, all-consuming. His jaw was destroyed. His trachea collapsed. His right arm was nearly useless. The bullets hadn't just hit him, they'd tried to silence him. He drifted in and out of consciousness, fighting a battle no weapon could win, the battle to stay alive. And in that darkness, where it would have been so easy to let go, Jason made a decision. He chose to fight, not because he wasn't afraid, not because he wasn't in agony, but because he knew somewhere on the other side of that pain was pride, was purpose, was a reason to keep breathing. After multiple surgeries and days hovering between life and death, Jason Redman woke up in a hospital room, bandaged, stitched, scarred. He couldn't speak. He could barely move. Every inch of his body felt like fire. But inside, he was alive and burning with something deeper than pain. Not self-pity, not bitterness, but pride. So, with trembling hands, he asked for paper and pen, and on a plain sheet of paper, Jason Redman wrote a message and taped it to the hospital room door. It read, "Attention, to all who enter here. If you are coming into this room with sorrow or to feel sorry for my wounds, don't bother. The wounds I received. I got in a job I love, doing it for people I love, supporting the freedom of a country I deeply love. I am incredibly tough, and I will make a full recovery. What is full? That is the absolute utmost physically my body has the ability to recover. Then I will push that 20% further through sheer mental tenacity. This room you are about to enter is a room of fun, optimism, and intense, rapid regrowth. If you are not prepared for that, go elsewhere. It wasn't just a message to visitors. It was a declaration that pain would not define him. That pity had no place here. That pride would lead the way. And that sheet of paper, it didn't just stay on his door. It became a symbol shared by soldiers, veterans, and survivors across the country. Because in a moment when he had every reason to surrender, Jason chose to stand, not on his legs, but on his values. Jason Redman didn't just survive. He came back not just from the battlefield, but from a place most men never return, the edge of surrender. But he didn't stop at survival. He transformed pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and scars into symbols. He founded programs to help wounded veterans. He stood on stages, voice steady, telling the world that pain is not the enemy, but the forge that tempers courage. His hospital door message became legendary. Printed, shared, framed, taped on walls of rehab clinics, military bases, and even schools, to thousands struggling with their own silent battles. His words became a shield. You are not weak because you hurt. You are strong because you endure. Jason Redman became more than a SEAL, more than a survivor. He became a torchbearer for every soul limping through life, but refusing to sit down. He didn't erase his pain. He wore it. He didn't hide his scars. He showed them as proof that yes, pain is real, but pride is forever. Maybe right now, you're hurting too. Not from bullets, but from words no one else heard. Not from war zones, but from disappointments that left you hollow inside. Maybe the pain isn't loud, but it's constant, heavy, lonely. And maybe, like Jason, you're lying in a place, physical or emotional, where giving up feels easier than holding on. But listen to this. You don't need to conquer mountains today. You don't need to prove anything to the world. Just stay in the fight. Hold the line. Breathe one more time. Push one more inch. And that is courage. Because pain will leave. It always does. But the pride of knowing you didn't quit, that will stay with you forever. So when the ache returns, when the doubt whispers, when you're face down and tired of getting back up, remember this. Your scars are not weakness. They are your armor. They say, I was there. I endured. I didn't break. And that is the kind of pride no medal can replace. No applause can match. No one can take away. Because pain is temporary, but pride is forever. If today, you're walking through pain that no one sees, physical, emotional, or silent battles deep inside, know this, you're not alone. Every step you take, every breath you fight to hold steady, every moment you choose to stay, it matters. It's brave. It's powerful. If you've ever whispered to yourself, just one more day, or pushed through a moment that nearly broke you, leave a symbol, for strength, for fight, or simply a dot, if that's all you have the energy for, because that dot, that's your courage, typed into the world. And if this story touched something inside you, if it reminded you of what you've survived, or of someone who inspires you to keep going, subscribe to this journey. This is USM, Soldier's Memory. where we don't just tell stories, we honor every scar, every comeback, every silent battle that ends in pride. See you in the next story. And until then, keep standing tall, even if it's on shaking legs, because you are someone who chooses pride over pain.